everybody! So today I'm gonna do a palette collection because I want to. I'm gonna just get started because I don't know how many I have, but I have a lot. I have so many, and I don't think that I want to go into great lengths swatching and explaining everything about every palette. I think I don't know. I have so many. The first palette that I want to talk about is the smallest one I have. It's one of the e.l.f. quads. I bought this because of Teresa is Dead. She said that these are fantastic, and I went a safe route because I bought this when I was working a corporate job. This, I mean, it's nice. It's really pretty. This one is the rose water quad, and it's just pretty. I don't know. I really like more like rose toned shadows. I think that they complement my skin tone very well, and these do a good job. They give me a really pretty look, and I've never been disappointed. That's the quality is really great. I don't typically go for like NYX or e.l.f. or like a lot of drugstore eyeshadows, so I'm glad I tried this out because it's really good. Okay, some palettes are kind of controversial, so let's just talk about it. I still have the Metal Matte palette from Kat Von D, now KVD Vegan Beauty, but this, you know, this was Kat Von D's palette. I've almost decluttered this quite a few times, but there's just some shades that I love. I don't know why I haven't decluttered it because I don't ever reach for it. But these like pastel shades are so nice, and I don't really have a lot of pastels. And this tinsel shade up here is so unique. I don't have anything else like it, and it's just gorgeous. I need to go through my whole collection, do some swatch comparisons, and finally convince myself that I don't need this because it's so big and it takes up so much room, and I truly very rarely reach for it. But the quality is still nice. When I do use it, I like the looks that I get from it. It is a good palette, but I need to just finally get rid of it. Next is the Gemini palette from Melt Cosmetics. I think this is the only Melt palette that I have. It is the only Melt palette that I have, and I want to get more. They're just expensive. I did not have that issue where the shimmer shades were like exploding. I have not had that problem. I really enjoy this palette. I bought it because I'm a Gemini. Yeah, I did. And the packaging is pretty, but really, like, I'm very happy with it. I love this palette, and I love every look that I create with it. Next is another controversial palette. Okay, listen. We've all purchased from this brand, okay? This is the Jeffree Star Androgyny palette. I am keeping this because of the shade Safe Word up here. It's a really good contour shade. For me, it's light and cool toned, and that is literally it. And the shade Charm is really pretty, but at this point I have so many mustard shades. As soon as I use up Safe Word as a contour, I'm just gonna go ahead and declutter this. I'm just gonna get through it before I get rid of it. Okay, next is the Ace Beauté Paradise Fallen palette. I have a couple of Ace Beauté palettes because of Beaut Bean. She used to talk up this brand a lot, but I just don't like the formula of Ace Beauté palettes. I know they've reformulated recently, so I'd be willing to try some of their newer releases, but honestly, I get pretty looks out of it, and I can make it work, and I work with it, and I don't hate it, I just don't love it. These purple shades are so pretty and unique, and I am gonna keep this palette because anytime I feel like I want to use a purple, I reach for this palette. The Urban Decay Electric palette. Yes, I still have this palette in my collection. Why? Who knows? Honestly, it's nostalgia, and I'm like emotionally attached to it for some reason. The packaging is so cute, and some of these shades are really nice, but I really do need to have like a come to Jesus moment, because once again, like, none of these are unique shades anymore. I know I have dupes for all these shades. I just need to find them and accept that it's time to let this go. But I'm just not there yet, okay? Naked 3! Yes, I still have this. This was my very first like high-end palette. This was a gift from my friend Sophia. Up until this point, I was using like drugstore, and I was working for a different cosmetics brand and just using the free shit that I got from that brand that also wasn't very good. I know that this is like everybody's least favorite of the neutral naked palettes, but I truly love it. Once again, I love like the rose neutral tones on my skin tone. Whoa, just fell out. It's so old. I don't think I'll get rid of this. I still use it from time to time, honestly, I do. And I don't know, it's a special palette to me since it was my first and it was a gift. And I like the shades and I don't know, it still works. Next is the Shade and Light palette, the Shade and Light Eye palette. Yeah, we all feel how we feel about Kat Von D as a person. This is a good palette, man. It's like, it truly is like the perfect neutral palette. This middle, this like middle larger shade here is another really good contour shade for my skin tone. And it's a solid neutral palette, man. I don't know what to say. And I don't bust it out very often because almost every palette that I have has like neutral shades in it. But you know, whatever. And now that she does not own that brand anymore, I would be much more willing to use this on my channel because I think you can still get this, but just rebranded. Modern Renaissance, a classic. This is being decluttered by a lot of people. I don't know, like, I got pretty good use out of it. I'll still take it out every now and then. I always love the look that I come up with. It's just easy. It's an easy palette to use, very romantic, and my palette isn't like going to shit like a lot of people are saying that theirs are like dried out. I don't know. I don't feel like mine are. I feel like I can still use it and like it, and I'm gonna keep it for a long time. Next is Subculture, another controversial palette. I purchased mine from, I think, TJ Maxx, one of those like discounty stores. Apparently they reformulated it at some point. I don't know. I did not have a single issue with mine. They all blended together really well. They were not patchy. They were pigmented. They were great. And I love this color story. I was brokenhearted when the first few waves of this palette came out and everyone was hating on it and having a bad time with it because I fell in love with this color story as soon as I saw it. And I don't know, so that's why I picked it up when I saw it. It was like 12 bucks or something, like super cheap, so I picked it up and I've really enjoyed it. I love it. I love it. Next, the Urban Decay Moondust palette. Listen, I know people hate this formula. I love it. I love this formula. I don't know, man, because, okay, these are like topper shades, right? So you're not gonna get like a bright blue on your eyes, but if you're creating a blue look and you want something so sparkly, just press this on top, man. It's so gorgeous. All of these I think are so beautiful. I love this shade Lithium. It's not a shade I would normally go for. It's like a taupey kind of like silver brown, but oh my god, it's gorgeous. I love this palette and I probably will never get rid of it. The only one that I'm not vibing with like a lot is this Element shade. I don't know, that one's kind of patchy with like a weird base tone. I don't know, but the rest of them, dude, I love these. So in a similar vein, I have the Fenty Beauty Galaxy palette. I think this was her first palette. This, I mean, they're pretty much kind of almost exactly the same as the Moondust shadows, like really sparkly topper shades. Some of these have a little bit more pigment to them. I believe this blue one here actually does have, yeah, a little bit more of like a blue base. And every time I bust this out, or the Moondust palette, because I just want like something glittery on top of my look, I'm always happy with it. I have a lot of his palettes, all right? I went through a phase where I just thought that his color stories were so good, okay? The Alien palette. I do like this palette, okay? I don't buy from Jeffree Star anymore. Whatever, like I'll still use this palette. I think it's a great palette, and this got a lot of hate because people thought the color story was weird. I like it because the color story is weird. There's not a single dud in this palette, and every single time I use it, I love it. The packaging, I could do without it. I really hate the packaging so much. I hate these bubble eyes. Kind of want to rip them out. But the palette itself is good, okay? I got the Wild Nothing palette from ColourPop. I bought it because I think I had a discount or something. I don't know. I don't remember why I bought this. And I bought this while I was still employed at my corporate job. So this got pretty good use because it's a very light neutral palette. People hate this palette because it is so light, and I would agree that pretty much only somebody with my skin tone can really wear this, otherwise it's gonna look ashy and shitty. But I have the skin tone that I have, and so I use shades like this because they complement my skin tone and they work with my skin tone. I wish that there were some deeper shades in here. A lot of these light shades, like this one up here and this one, I mean, you could have easily swapped one of those out for a deeper shade. Same with this one and this one. They're so similar. You didn't need this and this. I mean, it could have worked a little harder to make this palette a little more inclusive, but it is what it is, and I really like it on me. Blush Crush. I bought this palette at the same time as the Wild Nothing palette. I think I was just in the mood to buy stuff. I'd had my eye on this palette for a long time. Once again, rose toned neutrals. They work with me. I like them. I like this palette. It has quite a few of those like sequin shades, but I like those shades. I don't ever have an issue with those at all. I guess I'm not like super picky, but I love it. I love that they started including like the Super Shock formula because I love the Super Shock shadows. It's a nice palette. I get cute looks from it. I got the Going Coconuts palette when it launched because my cat's name is Coconut. I'm not gonna lie to you. I bought it because I like the name, but also the palette itself is nice. It's just, dude, another great neutral palette. I'm not a neutral person. And now that I'm not employed anymore, I'm gonna be experimenting a lot more with bright, colorful shadows like I used to. I used to wear like lime green and like hot pink together all the time, and I do like, honestly, it didn't always look the best, but I don't know. For the last few years, I've been a neutral bitch. So I do have a lot of neutral palettes, but I like it a lot, man. If you want a neutral look, this is it. This is the one. If you just want a little palette that'll do it all, this one is honestly great. I also have the Sugar Pill Fun Size palette, so this is great. As you can probably guess, I haven't been getting a lot of use out of it lately, but I'm really excited to start working more with color. I'm really excited to see this palette at its full potential. I have used it, you know, kind of here and there for fun. It's the only Sugar Pill palette or Sugar Pill formula eyeshadows, whatever, that I've ever tried, but I'm really impressed with them. I love this palette. It's the last one I ever bought, okay? I'm not gonna lie, I got sucked into the hype around this and the Conspiracy palette. I got really sucked into that documentary. I was like really disappointed by it, like everyone else was, because I thought, you know, what they ended up doing was kind of weird with it. But I like the palette, you know. I did a few looks on my channel with it. I'll use it. I am not obsessed with My Apology or the Simulation. These two shades here, they're whatever. The rest of them are great. I bought this like 5 years ago, probably at this point. This is one of the Kat Von D Shade and Light mini palettes, the mini eye, whatever. This is the green one. I like it, okay? I know people hated the quality for these. I guess you can't really go wrong. The green shade in here isn't the best, but I do really like this larger shade in here. I think it's a really pretty transition shade. I think it's fine. I mean, I'm keeping it around. I still use it from time to time. It gets used because it's so little and it's just easy to pick out and use, but yeah, I do have that. I have the Warrior 2 from Juvia's Place. It's amazing. This is another great palette that's like neutral with a twist. So you've got a red and orange, neutrals, kind of cool tones, a white and a black. This is another great contour shade for me. I love this palette. The pans are huge. They're all matte and they're great. Juvia's Place can be really hit or miss, but I enjoy this palette a lot. I think it's great. It's a really great fall palette too, because you got those really warm tones. It's beautiful. I'm really happy that I have that one. And I have the Magic Mini from Juvia's Place as well. This one is all right. These shades in here for me are very hit or miss. I love some of them. Like, I deeply love this Faso shade. I think that's so pretty. And a lot of these neutrals, but then when you get down to like these blues, these deeper blues, not the best. Some of these shimmers aren't great. It's a cheap palette and you can make it work. Definitely you can make it work, but I don't really buy a lot of Juvia's Place palettes. These are the only two because, I don't know. The color stories are pretty, but the shadows are pretty hit or miss, and I'll just usually pass on them. Okay. The Jawbreaker palette, I did a number of videos on my channel with this. You know what? I have quite a few Jeffree Star palettes. I'm not gonna say it every time I pull one out, but I don't buy from Jeffree Star anymore. But I'm gonna keep the palettes that I have from him because I spent money on them and because they're good. The formula is good. I love this color story. I love the pastels in here. I think it's really inspiring. There's a few duds in this palette, like this green one is kind of funky. Yeah, so I'm not gonna have the same disclaimer with every Jeffree Star palette that I pull out, but all the disclaimers are gonna be the same for every palette. I'll use it, I'll like it. I probably won't use it on my channel because I don't wanna, like, I don't know, advertise his brand or suggest that you give him any of your money, but I enjoy his formula and I am not gonna declutter these palettes just because of who made them, because I'm just detaching him from the things that I own. I like this palette, and that is that. I have a few Morphe palettes that never really get use. This one is the 35M. I love the color story, truly, I love it, but I never reach for this, and I think it's because the formula is not great. Every time I've used it, I have not been that happy with it. The shimmers in this palette, at least the ones I've tried, and I've tried probably like maybe a quarter of them, not good. At all. The mattes are all right and you can make them work, but I might depot this and just keep the shades that I like, because there's some that I do like. I really enjoy these greens and some of the purples, but oh, it's so sad because this color story is so good, but it's such a dud of a palette. It's so unfortunate. I do have the original Jaclyn Hill palette. I got a lot of use out of this. I guess like for the first couple years that I had it. I hate this quad down here. None of these shades, these four, none of them work. They're all trash. But these neutrals are great. A lot of these shimmers are pretty good. It's probably time to declutter this because I have so many neutral palettes, and the only reason I kept this around is because of the neutrals, like the top 2 rows, well, the top 3 rows really. I got a lot of use out of those top 3 rows, but I have those shades 10 times over. I'm not decluttering anything today. This is just a collection video, but I think it's probably time. I have the Bare Necessities palette. Honestly, I love this. It doesn't get as much use as I want because at the same time I bought this, I also bought the Going Coconuts palette, and they're like, the Going Coconuts palette is kind of just a mini version of this. I've used it probably like 3 or 4 times. I love my look every single time. I have not run into any issues with any of the shades. I like it a lot. I would definitely recommend it. I kind of want to maybe put this into my kit, but I'm not doing any makeup this year just because of the pandemic, but maybe next year maybe I'll buy a second one for my kit because it's a great neutral palette with a little bit of pops of like a little bit of color. It'd be a great bridal palette for my kit. So I enjoy this palette. If you want just a good neutral palette with a lot of options, this is the one for you. I did buy this, okay? I did, okay? I did buy it and I have it and I don't like it. I wish I would have listened to the reviews because I kind of cherry picked like There were some reviews that were obviously favorable. I think those are his friends or people who are like trying to suck ass. You can make it work. You can make a cute look. I do like, you know, some of these greens down here in this like pukey color. I don't really have a lot of like those tones. Yeah, the color story is really pretty, but I don't know. This will probably be decluttered at some point. Do you want to see a declutter video? I do have the James Charles palette. I wish I would have waited until the mini came out because I hate how big it is because it's at the very bottom of my drawer, so I never use it, but I want to use it more because I was not unhappy with this palette whatsoever. Some of the shimmers are meh, and some of the mattes, like I did not like, which one was it? I think it was the darker blue. I don't know. Some of them are kind of duds, but overall, I want to get more use out of this palette because I actually really did like it. I just don't have anywhere to put it other than at the bottom of the drawer because it's so freaking big. So I do have one MAC palette. They're not cruelty free. I have not spent any money at MAC in like 6 years. I got this for free when I worked there. This is the Basic Bitch palette. I'm only holding on to it because it's called Basic Bitch. It's so stupid. I don't think it's funny or clever or anything, but for some reason, having a palette that says Basic Bitch, I don't know, man. The two shimmer shades here are gorgeous. Straight up, they're so pretty, but I will probably declutter this when I do my declutter because I have not used it in probably over a year. I thought I'd keep it for this highlight shade. Wait a minute, that is really pretty. And I don't want to have like not cruelty-free stuff floating around all the time, so I'll probably declutter that at some point. It's not really that good at all. Next, we'll go through my Kaleidos palettes. I did get the Futurism collection, so I have the 5. There's 2 new ones, and there's a couple larger palettes too that they came out with, but I don't have any of those. I love the Kaleidos formula. The mattes are excellent, perfect, and the shimmers are beyond like anything else that I've ever used. I'm blown away. I'm blown away by this formula and this brand, and I want to buy more, but now I don't have any money, so I'm just gonna use these. But this is the Futurism 3. This blue shade in here is like otherworldly. It's so pretty. Okay, so the Futurism 1, Sci-Fi Green, this is compared to the Gemini palette a lot, and I definitely see why because of those kind of like army greens and the black, but it's pretty different. The greens are different tones and the shimmers are not even comparable at all. I love this palette a lot. Because I have the Melt palette, the Gemini palette as well, this is not my favorite Kaleidos palette, but if I did not have Gemini, I'd be so beyond glad that I have this. The black in here is like, if you need a good black, this is the black. This is the black. Futurism 2. Cyber Bronze. This is just a really good neutral palette. I really like this kind of more like red, kind of berry color. It's a very good holiday color. This silver, I'm not a silver eyeshadow person at all, ever, but I've used this silver quite a few times and I always love it because it's so metallic and sparkly and shiny and so pretty. And then Futurism 4, the VR Neon. I have not used this as much as I want to, and that is because when I bought this, you know, I was wearing neutral looks at work, and I don't think I've actually used these rainbow shades at all. I think I've swatched them, but I don't think I've used them on my eyes. I've used these shimmer shades and they're beautiful. Not a single bad thing to say about any of the Kaleidos shades that I've ever used, but these shimmer shades are just so pretty. So I think I'm gonna bust this out for like a rainbow look someday maybe. And then finally the Futurism 5. This might also be my favorite color story. I'm really torn between these two, but as soon as I saw this, I knew that like I needed this one for sure. I love the turquoise and the orange next to each other. beautiful colors to put together. People say that this looks like a Taco Bell palette, and I definitely see why, but I see it more of like a really beautiful bright summer palette, and I love it. I think I'm over halfway done now. So I did get the Burn Book palette from Storybook Cosmetics. I got it because it was on sale at Ulta. It was like $10, I think. It was really cheap, and I bought it because it's a Mean Girls themed palette, obviously. The palette itself is fine. I bust it out every now and then just for fun, but I don't care that much about it. It's fine. I have a couple mini palettes from MAC, just again, free ones from when I worked there that I've decluttered actually almost all of my MAC palettes, but these and that Basic Bitch one are the two that are left over. I don't know, I'm not gonna actually go too in depth into these. They're all neutral palettes. They're fine. You know, I use them from time to time if I'm really just not trying to think with my brain at all. I'll just like close my eyes and pick one of these, and then I'll put them on and it's fine. It's a fine neutral look. But I don't know, I think it's time to get rid of those too. This is a palette of singles. I have a video from, I don't know, probably last year sometime, going through all of my singles and decluttering almost all of them. These are the ones that I kept. And out of these ones that I've kept, I've only used like the top 2 rows that you see here. I don't go for singles hardly ever, to be honest, but I do reach into this sometimes, especially for some of these shimmers and some of these neutral mattes, definitely. I did do an order with Midas Cosmetics. This was around the time that Smoky Glow had her Midas Cosmetics collaboration, and I went on the website. That one was sold out, but I did want to try out Midas. So I got the Flower Bomb and the High Times palettes. I bought the Flower Bomb because the color story seemed very unique to my collection. It is very unique to my collection. Those pressed glitters really drew me in, and definitely I bought them because it's glittery and shiny. I don't like pressed glitters. I've tried them out. I don't like them. As far as the other shades, honestly, not a big fan of the Midas Cosmetics formula. I want to give it some more tries. Because when I did use this palette, I was just kind of playing around. I was just picking out shades, putting them together, kind of just like fucking around, but I felt like they were patchy. I felt like they did not blend together. Some of the shades just totally blended away entirely. I did not have a good time with this palette, and I've only used it maybe twice, so I need to give it a couple more tries before I really decide how I feel about it, but so far, I don't like it. And then the High Times palette, kind of a similar opinion so far. These are definitely deeper, darker shades. So I use them kind of a little more sparingly. I'll just do like a little small dip into them. I don't like the shimmers. I don't like them. And I just need to give it a couple more uses. I do like the color story, but I don't use really deep, dark shades, or at least I didn't for a long time. I needed work appropriate makeup. So now that I can kind of play around a little more and be a little more creative, I don't know, maybe I'll change my opinion. But so far, I'm not a big fan of Midas Cosmetics. I don't know. The Hocus Pocus palette from ColourPop, it's what I'm wearing on my eyes today. Actually, I've only used it once so far, and I like it. I like ColourPop's formula, and I like the palette. I have the Come As You Are palette from Carity Cosmetics. And this is another one that the formula is okay. People hate this formula. I don't mind it. I would put it on the same level as like Ace Beauté, where it's, you know, you can make it work. You just have to work with it a little bit. Midas might be similar, and maybe I just was a little too impatient. So, you know, Carity is right on the same level as like Midas and Ace Beauté, I would say. You know, it's a cheap indie brand, so that you get what you pay for. ColourPop is also cheap, but I prefer their formula. I love this color story so much. I think it's so fun and so inspiring. So yeah, I would recommend it. I think it's cute, and I really like the packaging too, and the theme. I think it's adorable. I have the Ace Beauté Flare palette. I bought this because of Beaut Bean. I am happy with this. You know, I do get really cute looks out of it, but again, the formula is like, I don't know, a 7 out of 10. You just have to work with it, but I do really enjoy this palette. It's so fun. I think it's a really perfect fall palette too, and some really unique shades. This sherbet shade down here is so unique. Next is the Moonspell palette. This is the only palette I own that I've kept the outer packaging or the sleeve for, because I think that the sleeve is just as pretty as the palette itself. I do like the design of the palette itself better, but I don't know. I couldn't bring myself to toss this. So Moonspell palette, I love this palette. It's a very similar color story to, you know, the last few that I showed. It's similar to the Hocus Pocus palette, kind of similar to that Carity Cosmetics palette, but it's brighter. I think it's still pretty unique. I love some of the shades. The shade Phoebe gave me a little bit of trouble, but the rest of them are excellent. I really, really enjoy this palette. I think it's so cute. Not only the color story, but the packaging, everything about it is so good. I really, really love this palette. I have the Aurora Lights palette from BH Cosmetics. Listen, okay? I love it. I really mostly use it for the top 2 rows. This bottom row is okay, but I don't know. I don't always like a baked shadow, but similar to the like the Fenty Beauty Galaxy palette and the Urban Decay Moondust palette, I use this because the top row are mostly all like topper shades, like super high glitter, really beautiful. The middle row has a little bit more of like a base pigment to it, but still super glittery, shiny, really pretty. Bottom row is more just like a shadow. Not into that, but whenever I bust this out just as to use like a topper shade, I always love it. I always have a great time with it. So I won't be getting rid of this anytime soon. It's right up on the same level with like the Urban Decay Moondust palette for me. This one is the BH Cosmetics Color Festival palette. I hate this palette so much. I truly don't know why I can't get rid of it. I can. I'm looking at it now and I don't like it at all. The shades that stand out to me, Haze, Sequin, kind of more colorful mattes, are not good. I have nothing good to say about them at all. Some of the shimmers are gorgeous, and I've held on to this palette for the shimmers, especially this shade down here, Rage. It's not a shade that I would normally go for, but it's gorgeous. But it's time to get rid of this. I'm gonna declutter this when I do a declutter, just because, God, I hate it so much. I have a bad time every time. I have 3 palettes from Menagerie Cosmetics. I have the Whale Song palette, really beautiful blues and greens. Feral palette, kind of more colorful, bright, some forest greens, and then some like brighter, colorful colors. Killer Purr. This one is the one I've had the most use out of because it's definitely more neutral with some kind of pops of color, but they're muted. So this, you know, got worn to work a lot, and I have not been able to play much with the Whale Song palette because it's probably the least work appropriate. Feral palette I've been able to play with a little bit too. I love the Menagerie formula. It definitely takes some extra patience compared to like ColourPop is super easy. The Menagerie formula needs a little more patience, but it's good. I love the Menagerie formula. I love all of these palettes. And I'm really excited to be able to play with definitely more of the Whale Song and the Feral palettes, kind of more of those like brighter colors. We'll go through the rest of my Jeffree Star palettes. I did get the Conspiracy palette. People hated on this color story. I don't know, I thought it was fun. I think it's an inspiring color story. You know, once again, I'm detaching who made it from the product. You know, if anyone else made this, I'd have the same thing to say about it, but I like it a lot, you know? I got a lot of good use out of it. Every now and then I'll bust it out and I'll use it and I'll like it, and that is that, you know? Do I think you should buy it? No, because you can dupe every single one of those shades and not give money to Jeffree Star, but I have it and I use it and I like it. Same with Blue Blood. This is one that I have not had a lot of use out of. When I use this, I do enjoy it. I'm not a big fan of this, like, what's this one called? Ocean Ice. I just don't really like that glittery formula. It's not a pressed glitter. It's just like a chunky fallouty mess. And some of these blues, Deceased, didn't really like that one. Whatever. I really like this Crystal Flesh. I think that's just a really pretty, like, neutral lid shade. I don't know, you know? It's probably the one that I'll get the least amount of use out of. And then I did buy the Blood Sugar palette too. I really like this one. I really like the color story. It's very easy to use. It's a very, very dupable palette. You know, you got your good neutrals, and then you got your warm neutrals, and then you got your deeper plums, and that's, you know, that's what the palette is. And you can create this palette with ColourPop shades, I'm sure. Hello, I am just dropping in like 2 months later. Yes, that's how long it's taken me to edit this footage. I don't know what to say. I still have not received my Shroud Cosmetics order. I know that it's just being delayed, and that's totally fine. I'm very happy to wait. However, I was looking up my order just to see if there was like any updates at all. And I totally forgot that I ordered so many palettes. So I got the It's Freaking Fats Butte Bean palette, obviously. I also got the Arcana palette, and I got the Divinity and Creepy Cute bundle. So I got like a pretty good deal on them because I bundled them. But yeah, so I have those on the way. I'll do videos with those when I get them, but it's sounding like it's probably gonna be a while. I also got the ColourPop Baby Yoda palette because I'm a sucker for Baby Yoda. I watch The Mandalorian every single week, and honestly, I watch it for Baby Yoda. He is everything to me, so I have that. Obviously, I had to get the At Forest site Raw Beauty Kristi ColourPop collab palette. It's amazing. It's what I have on my eyes today. I have a video putting this on. I don't know what order I'm uploading these things in, but there's that. At the same time that I got this palette, I also got 2 more. I have nothing to say for myself. I did not need to get these, and that's just that. Oh, I forgot to talk about the palettes. So I bought the Baby Yoda palette entirely because of Baby Yoda. However, it is quickly becoming one of my favorite palettes to use. The color story is pretty, and I knew it was pretty when I bought it, but I did not buy it for the color story whatsoever, but I love it. I've used it the most out of all of the palettes that I've purchased recently. Actually, out of all of my palettes in the past like 3 months or so, I've used this one the most. I love it, dude. I've only used the At Forest site one time, and that is what I did today, right now, and I only used 2 shades, but so far so good. I can't believe that Raw Beauty Kristi would put her name on anything that isn't exceptional, so I have no doubt that the rest of the shades will be exceptional. The fact that I got the Ornate and Grandeur palettes at the same time as the Raw Beauty Kristi palette is so stupid, because there are quite a number of duped shades in here. This like mustard yellow, they're exactly the same. A couple of these brown, I can't hold these all up at the same time, but I think there's like 3 or 4. I did not need to buy them all. That being said, I thought that I would like the Ornate one better just because it's like that neutral, warm, super easy to use color story. But, you know, it's just fine for me, you know? It's the ColourPop formula, it's fine, but it's just nothing special. The packaging is cute, and that's about it. I'm actually a lot more pleasantly surprised with this one. I didn't... Luna! Luna, are you okay, honey? Poor kitten, she got scared. She knocked my guitar over. It's okay, I don't even play it anymore. Poor baby got scared. And then just finally, I did some more ordering. Ulta was having a sale, and here's what I got. I did not need to get these. They still haven't even shipped out yet. I ordered them on November 30th, and they still haven't shipped. but whatever. They were so on sale. I've never tried the lime crime formula before, and I know that some people love it, some people hate it, but I have been lusting after the Venus 3 palette for years. And it was only $19 on Ulta for like a Black Friday thing, so I got that. And then I got sucked into the deal, okay? The Lime Crime Venus XL2 palette was only $29, and so I just like pulled the trigger because this color store, ow, I'm so sorry about the kitten, she's highly distracting, but it's just so pretty. Did I need it? No, not at all, because the shades that I see that I'm like really drawn to in here, I have 10 times over. Dude, I didn't need it. I didn't need this, but I got it, dude. It went down to 29 doll hairs. So that's that. That's my palette collection. I thought I'd include the palettes that I've purchased that are still on the way, so that's what I did. So that's what I have. I don't see myself buying new palettes anymore. All right, so that is my whole eyeshadow palette collection. I have so many, and I have quite a few that I think it's time to let go of. So let me know if you want to see a declutter. If not, I don't know, I'll just do it on my own anyway. Let me know what palettes you want to see me kind of use, just because, you know, I'm not going to be buying anything new. But if you want to see me create looks with anything that I showed, let me know. As always, all of my social media will be linked down below. Let's be friends. And as always, I just want to say thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.